Ezra chapter 4. When the adversaries of Yehuda and Benjamin heard that the sons of the exile were building the Hakal of Yehovah, Elohim of Israel, they came to Zerubbabel and the heads of the fathers' houses and said to them, "Let us build with you, for we seek your Elohim as you do, and we have slaughtered to him since the days of Esarhaddon, sovereign of Ashur, who brought us here." But Zerubbabel and Yeshua and the rest of the heads of the fathers' houses of Israel said to them, "It's not for you and us to build a house for our Elohim, but we alone build to Yehovah, Elohim of Israel, as sovereign Koresh, the sovereign of Persia, has commanded us." And it came to be that the people of the land were weakening the hands of the people of Yehuda and troubling them in their building and hiring counselors against them to thwart their plans all the days of Koresh, sovereign of Persia, even until the reign of Dariavesh, sovereign of Persia. And in the reign of Ahasuerus, in the beginning of his reign, they wrote an accusation against the inhabitants of Yehuda and Jerusalem. And in the days of Artashashta, Bishlam, Mithridath, Tabeel, and the rest of their companions wrote to Artashashta, sovereign of Persia. And the letter was written in Aramaic and translated from Aramaic. Rehum, the governor, and Shimshai, the scribe, wrote a letter against Jerusalem to sovereign Artashashta thus: Rehum, the governor, and Shimshai, the scribe, and the rest of their companions, the judges and the emissaries, the councils, the officials, the people of Erech, and of Babel, and of Shushan, the Dechavites, the Elamites, and the rest of the nations whom the great and noble Osnappar took into exile and settled in the cities of Shomeron and the rest beyond the river. And now, this is a copy of the letter that they sent to him, to sovereign Artashashta, from your servants, the men beyond the river. And now, let it be known to the sovereign that the Yehudim who came up from you have come to us at Jerusalem and are building the rebellious and evil city, and are completing its walls and repairing its foundations. Now, let it be known to the sovereign that if this city is built and the walls completed, they're not going to pay tax, excise, or toll and cause the revenue of the sovereign to suffer loss. Now, because we have eaten salt from the palace, it's not fitting for us to see the sovereign's shame. Therefore we have sent and informed the sovereign, so that the search be made in the book of the records of your fathers, and you find in the book of the records and know that this city is a rebellious city and causing loss to sovereigns and provinces. And revolt was stirred up in its days since days of old, for which cause this city was destroyed. We inform the sovereign that if this city is rebuilt and its walls are completed, then you have no portion beyond the river. The sovereign sent a message to Rehum the governor and Shimshai the scribe, to the rest of their companions who dwell in Shomeron and the rest beyond the river, peace. And now, the letter you sent to us has been plainly read before me, and I made a decree, and a search has been made. And it was found that this city in the days of old has lifted itself up against sovereigns, and that rebellion and revolt have been made in it. and mighty sovereigns have been over Jerusalem, who have ruled over all beyond the river. And tax, excise, and toll were paid to them. Now make a decree to make these men cease, and that this city be not built until the command is given by me. And beware of negligence to do this. Why should damage increase to the hurt of the sovereigns? No. When the copy of the letter of the sovereign Artashashta was read before Rahum and Shimshai the scribe and their companions, they went up in a hurry to Jerusalem and against the Yehudim, and made them cease by might and power. Then the work of the house of Allah, which is at Jerusalem, ceased. And it ceased until the second year of the reign of Darius, sovereign of Persia. Chapter 5. Then the prophets, Haggai the prophet, and Zechariah son of Iddo, prophesied to the Yehudim, who were in Yehuda and Jerusalem, in the name of the Allah of Israel upon them. Then Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, and Yeshua, son of Yotzadak, rose up and began to build the house of Allah, which is in Jerusalem. And the prophets of Allah were with them, helping them. At that time, Tattenai, the governor beyond the river, and Shethar-bozenai and their companions came to them and said this to them: Who's made you a decree to build this house and to complete this wall? Then we told them what the names were of the men who were building this building. And the eye of their Allah was upon the elders of the Yehudim, so that they could not make them cease, until the matter went to Darius. And they sent back a letter concerning this. This is a copy of the letter that Tattenai, governor beyond the river, had sent, and Shethar-bozenai and his companions, the officials beyond the river, to Darius the sovereign. They sent a letter to him, and this was written in it: To Darius the sovereign, all peace. Let it be known to the sovereign that we went into the province of Yehuda, to the house of the great Allah, which is being built with heavy stones, and timber is being laid in the walls, and this work goes on speedily and is blessed in their hands. Then we asked those elders, saying this to them: Who made you a decree to build this house and to complete these walls? And we also asked them their names in order to inform you, so we could write the names of the men at their head. And this is the answer they gave us: We are the servants of the Allah of heaven and earth, and we are rebuilding the house that was built many years ago, which a great sovereign of Israel built and completed. But because our fathers provoked the Allah of heaven, he gave them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, the Chaldea, who destroyed this house and exiled the people to Babel. But in the first year of Koresh, sovereign of Babel, Koresh the sovereign made a decree to build this house of Allah, and also the gold and silver utensils of the house of Allah, which Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the Hakal that was in Jerusalem, and brought to the Hakal of Babel. Those sovereign Koresh took from the Hakal of Babel, and they were given to one named Sheshbazzar, whom he had made governor, and said to him, Take these utensils, go deposit them in the Hakal in Jerusalem, and let the house of Allah be built on its place. And then the same Sheshbazzar came, laid the foundation of the house of Allah, which is in Jerusalem. And since that time, even until now, it has been in building, and it's not completed. And now, if it seems good to the sovereign, let a search be made in the sovereign's house, which is there in Babel, whether it's so that a decree was made by sovereign Koresh to build this house of Allah at Jerusalem. and let the sovereign send us his decision concerning this. Chapter 6. Then Dariavesh the sovereign made a decree, and a search was made in the house of the books, wherein also the treasures of Babel were kept. And at Ametha, in the palace which is in the province of Media, a scroll was found, and this was written in it. In the first year of Sovereign Koresh made a decree concerning the house of Allah at Jerusalem. Let the house be built in the place where they brought offerings, and its foundations strongly laid, its height 60 cubits and its width 60 cubits. 3 rows of heavy stones and 1 row of new timber. Let the expenses be paid from the sovereign's house, and let the gold and silver utensils of the house of Allah, which Nebuchadnezzar took from the Hekal, which is in Jerusalem, and he brought to Babel, be returned, and go to the Hekal, which is in Jerusalem, to its place, and deposit them in the house of Allah. Now, Tattenai, governor beyond the river, and Shethar Bozenai, and your companions, the officials beyond the river, stay away from there. Leave the work of this house of Allah alone. Let the governor of the Yehudim and the elders of the Yehudim build this house of Allah on its place. And I make a decree as to what you should do for the elders of these Yehudim, for the building of this house of Allah. Let them, the exact expense, be paid to these men from the sovereign's resources, out of the taxes beyond the river, so that they are not stopped. And whatever they need, both young bulls and rams, and lambs for the ascending offerings of the Allah of heaven, wheat, salt, wine, and oil, according to the request of the priests who are in Jerusalem, let it be given them day by day without fail, so that they bring pleasing offerings to the Allah of heaven, and pray for the life of the sovereign and his sons. And I make a decree that whoever changes this word, let a timber be pulled from his house, and let him be impaled and hanged on it, and let his house be made a dunghill because of this. And Allah, who has caused his name to dwell there, does overthrow any sovereign or people who put their hand to change to destroy this house of Allah, which is in Jerusalem. I, Dariavesh, make the decree, let it be done promptly. Then Tattenai, governor beyond the river, Shethar Bozenai, and their companions promptly did according to what Dariavesh, the sovereign, had sent. And the elders of the Yehudim were building, and they were blessed through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah son of Iddo, and they built and finished it according to the decree of the Allah of Israel, and according to the decree of Koresh and Dariavesh and Artashashta, sovereign of Persia. And this house was completed on the 3rd day of the month of Adar, which was in the 6th year of the reign of sovereign Dariavesh. Then the children of Israel, the priests and the Levites, and the rest of the sons of the exile did the dedication of this house of Allah with joy, and offered at the dedication of this house of Allah 100 bulls, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and as a sin offering for all Israel, 12 male goats, according to the number of tribes of Israel. And they appointed the priests to their divisions and the Levites to their divisions over the service of Allah in Jerusalem, as it's written in the book of Moshe. And the sons of the exile performed the Pesach on the 14th day of the first new moon, for the priests and the Levites had cleansed themselves. All of them were clean, and they slew the Pesach for all the sons of the exile, and for their brothers the priests, and for themselves. And the children of Israel who had returned from the exile ate together with all who had separated themselves from the uncleanness of the nations of the land in order to seek Yehovah Elohim of Israel. And they performed the festival of Matzah 7 days with joy, for Yehovah caused them to rejoice and turned the heart of the sovereign of Ashur toward them, to strengthen their hands in the work of the house of Elohim, the Elohim of Israel. Psalm 137. By the rivers of Babel, there we sat down and we wept as we remembered Zion. We hung our lyres upon the willows in the midst of it, for there our captors asked us for words of a song, and our plunderers for rejoicing, saying, "Sing to us a song of Zion." How could we sing the song of Yehovah on foreign soil? If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget. Let my tongue cleave to my palate if I do not remember you, if I do not exalt Jerusalem above my chief joy. Remember, O Yehovah, against the sons of Edom, the day of Jerusalem, who said, lay it bare to its foundation. O daughter of Babel, who are to be destroyed, blessed is he who repays you your deed, what you did to us. Blessed is he who shall take and dash your little ones against the rock.